I'm really a bridge. I kept alive for the present generation. I kept alive what was Cebu City.
𝐿𝐻𝐿𝐻𝐶 is one of the historians of Cebu, although I heard he doesn't want to be called a historian. Rather, he would like to be called a writer of history. And I can appreciate that because, in truth, the book of 𝐻𝐿𝐻𝐶 is, well, figuratively speaking, sitting on earlier works.
I like the book in the sense that, look, his book, like all books, it's not just a product of his research, but if you go to the back of the book, these are also information taken from researches, journals, and theses from other sources. No?
This book, though, is very daring because it attempts to put together all the earlier works into one volume. So a short history, he calls it, is not really a short history, it's pretty long.
Ang iyahang works is, even up to the present, gigamit pang gihapon na sa mga historians or researchers. Point of reference, point of comparison with the other writings, and point of further studies. So I think that's one of the things or that's the most important impact sa iyahang works. It created questions, it triggered questions, it triggered maybe to some extent issues or intrigues. But through those questions, issues, and intrigues, those are the turning point for further studies. So in short, it's still inspiring more historians and more writers, more researchers to tackle and research more about the topic nga iyahang gisulat sa iyahang mga libro.
That's his greatest contribution, to have interested people to take history more seriously than, just telling a story over a bottle of beer. And 𝐻𝐿𝐻𝐶 was able to draw, I think, a whole generation of people who really read his book.
Number one, it's written from the perspective of a Cebuano, someone who knows the culture. So it's an insider's view. It can be a good start for reading on Cebuano history, just for you to really form a connection. Because if you don't know the place that you lived in, it's very difficult to even love. I mean, it's like, falling in love with something. I mean, a painting, you need to really have a look at the painting and get to know it very well for you to fall in love with it. So it's that. I mean, especially with local knowledge and local history and what had happened in the past, a lot of these people are all long dead.
Nalipay ko nga, wa man ko'y tugaling sapi nga ika-papabilis nga kamo because of your love for history of Cebu City na pick up mo og writer nga ako inyong na-pick up nga makapublish mo og things about Cebu City.
And that's the reason why events are also very important, because we need all this. So what you do here is at Pamgras is something that's really good, because you're helping the community understand and you're one of the many, because the thing here is that if you have more people doing advocacies, then the better it is, as long as you're on the same page and same direction.
Kung naluya ka, kung naguol ka, Kung ngit-ngit ang dalan, bisan bagyo ulan. Ahaha, ni ara ko uban nimo, bisag unsa ka kahitabangan nato, muhumok lagi. Bisan pagbaha, epidemya pa, kung kapildihon na nahuddan nas iso. Oh, ni ara ko uban nimo, bisag unsa ka kahitabangan nato, muhumok lagi. Ni ara ko uban nimo, bisag unsa ka kahitabangan nato, muhumok lagi, mahimo tani. Duna ni paagi, kay di ara ko kauban nimo. Ni ara ko.
O Pilipinas, yuta ko natawhan, ning kinabuhi ko, akong itugyan, ning kasing-kasing po, perme lang kasubo, tungod sa gobyerno, na dili pa ato. Kinsa pa kaha ang
Ining maong awit, nagsugilo sa pakigbisod alang sa kagawasan sa atong mga Cebuanong revolusyonaryo. Ang sudlon maong ilang tinago nga kampo, patok sa mga sumasakop nga katsila o Amerikano. Naginaot ko nga ang atong mga batan karon, maminaw nini, para ilang mangguhan nga ang ilang problema dili lang ilaha, kundili shared na problem kini. Diin ang hinahanglan o shared nga kasubaran alang sa kayuhan sa katilingbanong Pilipino.
ngadto sa sudlon, dili kita muunem niya ng taong malupikon na maoy nagpalikya sa atong nasyon.
Oh, Pilipinas, yuta kong natawhan, ning kinabuhi ko, akong itugyan, ning kasing-kasing ko, permi lang gasupo, tungod sa gobyerno nga dili pa ato. Tala na mga igsuon, mamauli na kita nga to sa sudlon. Dili kita munen sa mga taong malupigon nga maoy nagbaligya sa atong nasyon. kasing-kasing ko permilang gasubo tungod sa gobyerno nga dili pa ato. Tala na mga igsuon, mamauli na kita nga to sa sudlon. Dili kita unan sa mga taong malupigon, nga maoy nagbaligya, nga maoy nagbaligya. Tala na mga igsuon, mamauli na kita nga to sa sudlon. Dili kita munar sa mga taong malupigon, nga maoy nagbaligya sa atong nasyon. Pilipinas, Pilipinas, oh Pilipinas.
My girl, my celosa, girl, my celosa, girl, my celosa, girl, my celosa. Sige ko nung pumalag sa pinaming Cebu. Oh, my celosa, girl.
Sa karsada nga mong laagan, di silosan, apil ng mga ngalan, napatik sa dalan. Arkayo, Maxilum, Candido, Padilla, 𝐊𝐿𝐴𝐻𝗃𝗀𝗀𝗃, Toribio, Padilla, Andres Abellana, Bonifacio, Aranas, Alejo, Mendoza, Francisco F. Llamas, Florencio González, General Luis Flores, Isidro Girondo, Andres Aliños. Isuding baita, talingped pa, ang Ginoong Cebu ko para niya. Sunod-sunuron, huwag tawgon, gusto niyang siya ay ating tagdon. Oh mama, girl, maselosa, girl, maselosa, girl, maselosa, girl, maselosa. Sige kuno ko, I love you, sa kupin namin Cebu. Oh maselosa, girl, maselosa, girl.
Ano mag-date kung may atugod sa museo. Sige lang siya bagot to, puring kaayo.
Museo sa Gerra, museo sa Cebu, ug sa 𝐵𝗫𝗲𝗀𝗃 de Abril.
Ihirahan sa Katipunyero. Ato sa Fort San Pedro, makatila na kampo. Ato pagod sa karkar, mataydor, niandar. Ilahan, ki-murder, ang choy nga silyong kilad. Maumuban sa sudlon, nagtapok para sa guban.
Sining brighta, pagtalinteb pa, pang Ginoong Cebu ko para niya. Sunod-sunuron, o tawgon, gusto niya siya rin akong tagdon. Oh mama, girl, maselosa, girl, maselosa, girl, maselosa, girl, maselosa. Sige kulo ko galaki, sa kumpin namin Cebu. Oh maselosa, girl, maselosa. Ayaw ka malaka, kawas ng butan ka, pareho ka gwapa sa mahal kang ita. Liwat pa sa kulolo, nga katipunero. Oh baby, go lang nang go, mas forever with you. You girl, ako damgo, ikaw ako supo. You girl, ako gugma, you are my Cebu.
You girl, ako damko, ikaw ako supo. You girl, ako gugma, you are my Cebu.
Kami, tight. Unggami time, unggami time, unggami time, unggami time. Unggami time. Girl, maselosa, girl, maselosa, girl, maselosa, girl, maselosa. Sige, puno ko galabi sa bukid ng Cebu. Oh, maselosa, girl, maselosa, girl, maselosa, girl, maselosa, girl, maselosa, girl, maselosa. Sige, puno ko galabi sa bukid ng Cebu. Oh, maselosa, girl, maselosa.
Mga sata pituon sa langit, mikisla mitaas sa kangit-ngit, katamtamis taliwala sa kapait, mitunaw sa tikang kasing-kasing, nanunod kung kulang Tuhan, gugmang gamhanan makahiyo sa tanan. Misada kung kita duha kauban, malakas na to ang layong kadagatan. Mapatag ang habog kabukiran, mausapan lang sa kalibutan, hangtod kano sa matahon. Kining akong bughan, ang akong kamot imong gihawiran. Dungan na tong bag-o ng kalibutan, punon sa kahoy ang napuunasan, pabulakon ang nalayang tanaman. Misatan kung kitang duha kauban, malakas na to ang layong kadagatan. Mapatag ang hapong na kabukiran, mausapan lang sa kalibutan, hangtod kano sa matahon. Kining akong dughan, mibanos ang katugnaw di maatos, at lamisalok sa imong paglakaw. Magwasak bang sa hangtod, sa kahangturan. Misata kung kitang duha kauban, malakas na to ang layong karagatan. kalibutan hangtod kano sa magdahong kining na kong daghan.
Palmgrass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel, in partnership with the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, the National Quincentennial Committee of the Philippines, 𝐊𝐢𝐚𝐻𝐿 2020, Diyandi Heritage Center, and the Cebu Provincial Museum, Museo Sugbo, present to you today this event celebrating our beloved grandparents, Kinsay Tigulang, the elderly in the Visayan family and society 500 years ago. Welcome everyone once again to our fun and enlightening discussion this afternoon on our beloved grandparents whose day we celebrated a day ago, last Sunday and yesterday. So I am Agripina, your host, and I'm sure we're going to have another fun afternoon today. So we thank everyone who is with us again today in our event. So this event is a timely event because we have celebrated this month the Grandparents' Day. We greet our grandparents in Cebu. Malipayong adlaw, lo ogla. And then we also celebrate this month, this September 22, we are going to celebrate the 5th anniversary of our Hardin Dagami. And Hardin Dagami we are now at Hardin Dagami. We are at Hardin Dagami right now, and we named this Hardin, this roof deck restaurant, in honor of the warrior of Gabi, which is now known as Cordova, the very fierce warrior of Gabi, who led a resistance against the Spaniards, Miguel Lopez, led also by Miguel Lopez de Legazpi. Also, so we have this ikalimang tuig sa Hardin Dagami this September 22 this year. And also this month in Cebu is the Cebu Press Freedom Week. So this is this will be on September 19 to 25, and we celebrate with with everyone and all concerned citizens the Press Freedom Week with our also very brave journalists in Cebu and the whole world. And so this year is also our celebration of the 500 years. The 500 years of the victory at Mactan, the 500 years of the first circumnavigation of the world, and in which Cebu and our islands have a part, and the 500 years of the arrival of Christianity. And of course, this year, this has been declared as the year of our pre-colonial ancestors. That's why we are having this discussion today about the elderly and the elderly in pre-colonial Visayas. So we thank our partners in this event. So we thank the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, the National Quincentennial Committee, and you are also viewing this this Facebook Live event at the NQC page, at the SOAN 2020 page, the Diyandi Heritage Center page, and the Museo Sugbo page. Daghang salamat to our partners. And we also thank everyone who is watching and who is joining us in our event. So at the National Quincentennial Committee page, we have Paul Ledoux. He said he's so happy to attend this lecture, historical lecture. Thank you very much, Paul. And to City, good afternoon, maayong hapon. And then Paul also suggests for our author and Cebu history, Dionisio C., to have a monument somewhere because he deserves a memorial. Thank you very much, Paul, for recognizing our Cebu historian, who is also a senior citizen when he passed away. And also from Tandag City, Noel Livan. Daghang salamat, Noel, for watching and for joining our event. And also, we also would like to greet Bianca Panz. And she said perfect during our countdown videos. Thank you for watching. And also Daniel Nino Paclihan, the second. Maayong hapon, Palmgrass. Maayong hapon, Daniel. Thank you. Daghang salamat for watching again. And also to Nemesio Baldesco. Daghang salamat. And we also would like to greet our physical audience here. Very few, a handful. It is a cloudy afternoon here in Cebu. So maayong hapon, and thank you very much for being with us. And so now, so we would like to have our audience stay tuned for our fun discussion this afternoon. So you should be able to ask your questions. So because as we go along, we would be asking our panelists your questions, and we would be also telling them your comments regarding our topic this afternoon. So other participants who also registered to our event this afternoon are from all over the Philippines and all over the world. So we have from the Polytechnic University of the Philippines, University of Cebu, 𝐭𝐢𝐬𝐵𝐼𝐷, Literary Organization, Cebu Normal University, University of the Philippines, San Beda College, Alabang, Southern Luzon State University, from PNU North Luzon, Aklan Catholic College, Negros Oriental State University, Bayawan Santa Catalina Campus, from Sudlon National High School, 𝐊𝐻𝗲𝗶𝗀𝗃, Philippine Normal University, Mindanao, Tibanba National High School. We also welcome our Carmelite Sisters of Charity, Vidruna, from University of St. LaSalle, Earth Guards, USLS, University of San Carlos, Samar National School, St. Teresa's College, and everyone who who has not registered, welcome to our event this afternoon. So of course, we are always thinking about this joke that in Bisaya, if someone would tell someone else, "Huy tiguang," and then of course, someone that person whom someone told that tigulang or old person who would say, "Of course, you can call me anything. Just you can even call me a thief, but don't call me tiguang or don't call me tigulang." Pero of course, someone else would say, "Tigulang nga kawatan." so so that's a common joke in Cebu. So right now I know you have so many things about the elderly in your mind, and then prepare your questions and your interaction regarding our topic this afternoon. So I know you're excited to already see our panelists. We have with us, we would like now to introduce one of our panelists. She is the chair of the Local Histories Committee's Network Subcommittee on Conservation and Preservation. She is a consultant on tourism development for Naga City in Cebu. And she is also a commissioner of the Cebu City Cultural and Historical Affairs Commission. And she is presently the curator of the Cebu Chinese Museum, and she is an ethnoarchaeologist. Please help me welcome Dr. Jocelyn Gerra.
Yes, good afternoon, and good afternoon to, from Cebu to the Philippines and the rest of the world, because you have an international audience. Maayong hapon sa tanan, hinaot nga na mga lola o lolo diri nga ni apil no kay ila maning programa. Maayong hapon. Ug daghang salamat nga na-imbitar ka nako.
Maayong hapon, Joy. So, daghang salamat, Joy, for being with us. Dr. Joy Gerra for being with us. So, I hope that our audience can comment if our audio is good. Also, somebody already is greeting Dr. Joy Gerra from Jan Acevedo Patindol. Shout out to Doc Joy. So I hope, may you comment to our audience on Facebook Live if our audio is okay with you. So our next panelist, our second panelist is also he is a candidate in sociology, major in history, family and population dynamics, and he is the executive director of the Diyandi Heritage Center. And Diyandi is a heritage NGO in Cebu, of which I am also a member. And the chair of this heritage NGO is no other than our national artist for literature, Dr. Risil Mujares, and then other members of this board members are Dr. Jobers Reynes Bersales, heritage architects 𝐊𝐻𝗲𝗋𝗀, architect Maxwell Espina, and others. So the executive director of this Diyandi Heritage Center is a heritage and health advocate. Please help me welcome Roxanne Doron.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Pam Grass, for having me here to discuss the sociological context of being old, elderly, aging, or senior citizens in our country.
Daghang salamat, Roxanne, for being with us. And of course, thank you, Paul, for commenting that the audio is good. And then also to 𝐊𝐻𝗲𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗃 for saying hello to Dr. Joy, and to Israel. It's very hard. Israel Kangking, audio is good. Thank you very much for the feedback. So this afternoon we will also have reactors. We have the heritage advocate and heritage writer and author, Gavin Sanson Bagares. So he's also a descendant of Katipuneros and descendant of colonizers. And then we will also have a chair of the 𝐊𝐤𝐚𝐲 Kabataan from at 𝐭𝐢𝐠𝐲 Street, Barangay Kalubihan in Cebu City. We will have Patrick Caballes. We will have also a senior citizen here at Barangay Cogon Ramos, which is also at 𝐭𝐢𝐠𝐲 Street. And also we will have the barangay captain of Barangay Cogon Ramos, which is also at 𝐭𝐢𝐠𝐲 Street. So we would be having them this afternoon to give the reactions to our discussion today. So of course, aside from that, you will be able to comment and to give your questions to our panelists. And then as we go along, and then also we will have a trivia quiz with prizes in which you will win 𝐊𝐤𝐚𝐲 package. Is it 𝐊𝐤𝐚𝐲 package? No. You will win manggahi, our cake and smoothie of the month, manggahi ka sa kalami. And then also, you will also be able to win, for the lucky winner, we'll have an overnight stay at one of the rooms for heroes at the only heritage hotel in Cebu, Palmgrass. And of course, you will also know the winner of the wackiest Lolo and Lola photo contest that we held this week. So daghang salamat for being with us and for joining our fun discussion. So now we would like, di na ta maglangan sa ato ng tawgon, we would like to call our panelist, Dr. Joy Gerra, regarding this, our title of our event. We said, our titles asks, Kinsay Tigulang. So this would be our first question for Dr. Joy. Who are the elderly?
Well, I think when we speak of that, no, it changes over time. But essentially, when we speak of aging, it's actually the process, no, ang tiguang na siya ang society na siya marker, no, kung when you're older. So technically, it is the process which structural and functional changes accumulate in the organism. No, so and you will see in this picture, you will have, this is two young boys, very dynamic and very wacky. Then you have on the other side the grandmother of these boys, no, who's already changed. So you will know that you have aged because there are already indicators. In fact, Attorney Job, thank you for watching. You're a nurse. You are in a better position to really interact with this one. No, I hope you will interact. Anyway, so you have hair would turn gray, and then the skin begins to sag. So therefore, this is where you have the structural. Functional is when you begin. The steps become slower through the years. Sometimes there's the spring, no, of youth. Kids who just run up and down the stairs, and you will never have any problem. But over the years, this function, the function of seamless walk up and down the stairs, then becomes quite slow and calibrated, no. And then when we speak of structural, of course, from a skin like Miss Agripina's skin, which is very smooth, over time, that one would slowly. Why? Because the collagen, for example, and there are other things, no, that interacts with it. So that's part of the aging process, but it's also really a part of evolution. The moment when we look at when a species evolved, there is actually also a process in which it matures, and over time it dies out, and there are also functions of this one, because you need to also replace. And then also over time, we've seen that genetics plays a very important role in aging. One's station in life, one's attitude in life. So when we look at Kinsay Tigulang, maybe in how are you, ang question, Anna, is how do you measure that? No, will you measure it in years, or will you measure it in looks? Or so there are many things, no, which I think see Professor Roxanne would be able to even tell. So Kinsay Tiguang, usually we'd say, well, kung putik buhok tiguang, but we know very well nga kung 40 years old pa ka, sometimes there are people who have gray hair and they're not yet, no, kay kung 40 or 30, di pa man na siya considered nga tiguang. That's why I think the law has said that when you're 60, when the moment you're 60, you're defined as already a senior citizen. Therefore, technically, tiguang. So, okay. No, so this one, no. So okay, why am I very interested in this? So this is really for young students out there and who are looking for PhDs and master's thesis. There's a whole world of anthropological research and researches on aging, because in anthropology they were really more focused, in the historical development of the discipline. It was more interested in looking at life cycle of babies, and then they stopped at some point in time. No, aging was not really part of that until Margaret Clark did a study of anthropological, the what is aging and society, in the context of modern society. So therefore, in fact, she has there are stages, no, that you get to see. So one, you will have there are you have to recognize life stages that every one of us goes through a life stage. Then ideas about then there are already prescriptions. How are you going to act or behave at some point in time in our lives? You will notice that as a kid, this is how you behave. As a teenager, this is how you behave. When you're a mature professional person, this is how you behave. If you're married, so there are many ways. And then you have indicators also on the way you behave is also accompanied with the idea of how you also move or how you even behave, no. Um, and the other thing is there are also looking at ways of knowing when a person is considered old in their society, because in other societies they don't have that just a collective term concept of tiguang, but in other societies they measure it by age. So depends, no. There's a general term, but there's also a number of years that you are considered aged.
Daghang salamat, Dr. Joy. So our technical team here is laughing because we have a 20-year-old here who already has gray hair, and then and of course we have a 30-year-old here in our team which already gray hair also. And I don't have gray hair yet. I'm nearly 50.
Oh,
So
yeah, that's
I don't
genetic.
but you don't tell your age, right? It's for women. We don't tell people our age. Is that a rule? So of course we would say, "Kisa may tigulang." For us who are already middle age, we would say that we are not tigulang.
Yeah, of course.
Those who are 100-year-old, sila ang tigulang. So we have um, those who are on Facebook Live, Noah Rafairo and Brian Golosino, watching our and joining our Facebook Live. So now we would like to also ask our professor on health and and um, and who studied about aging and also the elderly. So we are a heritage and health advocate, Roxanne Doron. So we would like to ask Roxanne. So kinsa man gyud kinsa man gyud ang tigulang in Cebu or in our country? What is the demography of aging in our country, in the Philippines and in Cebu?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for inviting me here. In the Philippines, there is a law that that tells you that you are tiguang, no? So Republic Act 994. So kung according to this Republic Act, you are old, you are a senior citizen, or you are an elderly if you are 60 years old. So you cannot argue with that, no? So kung yung kag 60 ka, 61 ka, yung kag di ka tiguang, kinahanglan tingay kang pakanon og init nga sabaw para matauhan ka nga tiguang gyud ka.
60 is really tiguang.
Yes, 60 is in the Philippines. So we categorize it that way. In fact, we have a law that that tells you that you are old, no? Yun ana. Then of course, naanay mga benefits, no? Nga naka-accompany ana. Why? Ma-discover na to later. So aging in the Philippines remains a subject that is severely under-theorized in research. So I am glad that Dr. Gerra encourage no those who are interested to conduct studies to focus on studies related to aging. Why? Because aging daghan kay ni sila matampo sa knowledge development because of their experiences, because of their lived experiences. So karon no ganahan ta makahibaw unsa may nahitabo atong panahon sa Hapon, panahon sa Amerikano, katong ang buhi pang akong lola, lola no nang she always tell stories about their experiences living in caves in Leyte, no? Kay dito man ang mga relatives sa Palompon, Tabangon, no? Inana. Hi sa akong mga relatives nga mga Omega diha nga side. So nindot kaayo nang naagid sila wisdom, no? Naagid sila wisdom ang aning, but unfortunately under theorized siya, no? Which is really correct. Kay before sa presentation aning nga topic nakandak man sa kog review of related literatures, and then tinuod yun a very few. And of course, no, the Philippines' unique history and rich culture shapes its citizens' views on aging, no, and bolsters expectations of informed caregiving for older family members. So there is a two, for example, in Western countries, in highly industrialized countries, ang mga tiguang nila ngadto at nagi home exclusively for them. Mao na home for the aged, nya ang care nila no, believe it or not, Asians, no. So tingali nakita nila Asians are good caregivers for their elderly, no. In the Philippines, wa pud ta ana or naata na limited kaayo. So you know, these social practices, kung tan-awon lang nimo, and again this is another kanang under theorized, no. Kay kung adto ka dito, when I was in several European countries, nadyo ko intention to visit home for the aged. Yun, tanaw gid na akong ito, and a lot of Filipinos working there. Not only Filipinos but Asians as well. No, inana. And then the Philippines is a diverse country that will experience an increase in its aging population in the near future. So later sa slide, makita na to ang recent statistics, no, from Statistica nga. Although slight increase, but it's increasing. No, it's increasing. Ang population sa mga elderly. So how we define the elderly, it's 60 years old and above. So for a population of 108.77 million Filipinos, 47.1% of that are living in cities, no? Unya ang atong fertility rate is very fertile, no, 2.53 of born children per woman. Unya kalimot na sa update sa akong slide. Nang trending gani karon ang 124 years old nga babae nga lola, grandmother na angadto sa Negros Oriental. Nya karon ang I forgot the town, 124 years old, the town is filing nga kanang i-certify siya nga the oldest living person in the world. No, can you imagine that? So this data, o nga di na ko mabasa, I think it's from 2015 to 2020. Sa 2015, no? No, it's 2010 di ay. No? 2010 di ay ni siya. It's 4.1% ang population sa aging in the Philippines. Then pag 2020, it's 5.5%. Nice slight increase, but that increase is medyo taas-taas na pod na siya, no? So nagkadaghan ang population. Nya kana mo ng 60 years old ang above, no? Kanang naa sa gray. Ang kanang nasa blue mao na sila ang below 18 years old. O niya ang kanang naa sa dark blue man na siya, mao na siya ang 15 to 64 years old. Okay, next slide please.
Mona.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
which means Roxanne, that the old people in the Philippines or in our country are those at the 5.5%, 65 years old and above.
Yes,
65 years old and above.
Yeah,
And those our lolo and lola. So even if di sila gusto, they don't want to call themselves lolo and lola. So they are already the elderly.
They are the
65. So, and then they are now not allowed to go out during the different levels of community quarantine. So why is that? Why do you think?
Well, because they are vulnerable, no? Ang ilang immune system health-wise is low, not necessarily very low, but low compared to other age groups. So kung when it comes to kanang infection, mas taas ang possibility nga sila ang ma-infect compared to younger people. That is why to reduce cases sa kaning age bracket, they should stay at home. However, their social practice, ilang mga experiences dili man inana good. Kunang gahi na sila
And then, so you have been telling us about this, the oldest woman in the country
in
right
the
now,
Negros Oriental.
in the Visayas.
Yes, yes.
And then also that the caregivers in other
countries.
And I just saw about, I think yesterday, I saw a video. It's supposedly, I don't know if it's a funny video about someone, the husband was angry with the family because they were not treating his mother properly. And it is also in Asian, I think it's Chinese, or I don't know what nationality was that. So of course, Asian, as you said, in Asian countries, we always give respect. We give high respect to our elderly and our parents and grandparents. So now we would like to know about this historically. So we would like to call again Dr. Joy Gerra, our ethnoarchaeologist, about what was the Visayas like. So this is now the part when we are going back 500 years or more ago. We travel back in time to know what was life in the Visayas during the pre-colonial times and what was the social structure of the Visayan society.
Well, how I wish we had a time machine and we can go back, but and there's really scant, very little information about this period. In fact, there has been because of the 500 years of celebration, there a lot of information. No? Suddenly, this period becomes very interesting. Now, what was the social organization? Remember, this is still really an agriculture-based society. I am in the Philippines. I think you can hear the dogs barking at the back. So therefore, with in an agricultural society, so people essentially work together. No, so what's the basic unit is of course the family. So what we call is the nuclear family: mother, father, children. However, there's also an extended family because sometimes they would live together in one big house or cluster of houses, and they would chances are interchange. And we will see, why do we know this, or why can we infer? It's because of some ethnographic literature that we can look into on behaviors of families, no, in the among indigenous cultural communities. So what happens is with that kind of social organization, so it's really family based. In fact, the family is the one taking care of your education. Leadership is taken care of in the family, being a responsible citizen. Economic activity, of course, is taken care of in the family. Religious, so all the other functions are really emanating from there. So what happens is they also work together. And although there is division of labor, but for example, what's interesting here is that males and females there's no gender this divide. No, you work in the field, whether you're a male or female, you work in the field. But also at the same time, like we do with ethnographic literature, we see that grandparents are not spared. No, I mean they're really very functional. They do a part, either taking care of the meal or maybe also working in the farm. So this is although they are respected that they have an age, but they are still very much, if you will, by inference, have a very functional and very productive function in society.
Sige, daghang salamat, Dr. Joy. So we would be having more questions about that later regarding the role of the elderly in society. So we would now like to ask you about age grading and how does society ensure that this is recognizable to its population.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yes.
Yes, exciting. Sorry, I have to be quite technical. Age grading is actually a term in which a group of persons of same sex or approximately the same age would enter into a set of definite duties as outlined in society. However, if the really clear age grading studies are, for example, among the people in Africa, the Oroma of Ethiopia, no, there's a lead, what they call Gada, in which leaders, after 8 years, a new set of leaders comes in, no, with this age group, and then they would change. So this is really very clear demarcated age grading. In the context of the Philippines, we do have, although this is not well studied, no, because up to a certain age, we can define it, in fact, by by the reconstruction of the Philippine kinship systems, in which you would have your nuclear family, and then you will have your extended family, and you have the different relationships is being outlined. And at the same time, in the next slide, you will see that there are also certain terminologies. So, kung like for example, there's a certain age that you can be called uyang, but there's also a certain age that you can be called manding. No, they are. So this is the reconstructed. This is the prototype Philippine kinship terminologies, of which you belong to that certain age. So, for example, si Agripina cannot be called Lola, no, because or Uyang, because you're not at that age, no. So Inday ka, or maybe later mahimo kang manding. So these are the terms that we use, no, we delineate. Sometimes we have that cultural understanding nga magmanang na ko ani niya, no. In fact, some people I've noticed, no, some people kung walay buhok, manoy na gyud na, and then when I asked for the age, then it turns out that this person saying manoy to a person without kanang bald ba, turns out older than him, no. So I begin correcting. I said, this, because this is really culturally ingrained in us, no, na atay we have this perspective that at this point in time, if the person is more or less looks like this, then this is an age higher than me, no, uh, generally. So as I've said, there is no clear age grading system in the Philippines. This is really more of African, but this is really used in anthropology often. So in our case, it will be the terms that we use. But there's also, for example, when do you get married? You don't, over time. No, so there's a certain age that you're allowed to get married, or you're allowed to have children. From a cultural perspective, although there are no, as I've said, anthropological literature does not look into this so much. No, I may be wrong, but there is the SOAN department who would probably give us more about it. Okay.
I remember that we discussed that regarding the pre-colonial, the power of women in
Yes.
in bed and politics 500 years ago, and we discussed about the sex practices of women actually,
Mhm.
or of pre-colonial Visayans. And it was also discussed that actually the girls were already, their sexual organs were already opened at an early age, before 10 years old. Was it 6?
Mhm.
And then but of course they are prepared before they are they are prepared by the babaylan and the healers before they are allowed to get married. So so those are things like, of course, so if they get married, so that means it's after 10 years old. So um so there are different now titles, or how do you call those girls, like it's in your slide, darag,
Yes.
you said they are called daraga. And
Mhm.
yes. So we would like to ask again, Dr. Joy, this other, so how do you call the old people at in the past, or in, for example, in the early Visayan English dictionary, or in that you
Uh,
mentioned?
yes, I think what's so interesting is that there are a lot of Gothenburg Press, no, has came up with, there are a lot of online dictionaries available. By the way, before I forget, when where to demarcate, no, I think, to close that question, to demarcate that you have moved from one, the age group, if you will, to another, is the initiation, the rites of passage. And there are many rites of passage. For the girls, from a physical perspective, is the menarche, the onset of menstruation. And for the boys, in the context of the Philippines, those practicing circumcision. And in fact, there's really an age among boys when boys in the summer, they will say, is it the right time? So, and they know very well from a cultural perspective that there are also certain responsibilities subtly being expected of them. Okay, next. What are the terms? So I've listed here the terminologies. For example, we have the term puya, a newborn baby, and then we have in fact a term masuso. No, so you will hear this: those baby who still are dependent on mother's milk. That's around 3 years old. No, although in today's practice up to 6 years old, because of Western influence. And then there is a term nga bata pa, so maybe until around 10, 11. And then bayong-bayong, di ba? When you say bayong-bayong, this is bayong, from the term bayong. This is someone who can already be of a partner or an assistant to the parents, no? Who really can already help. So bayong. So kung bayong-bayong, this is someone who can already help in the family. So in the context of agricultural societies like the Philippines, these are the ones, they would go from, bring out the livestock, no, or the help pick fruits, in a family farm. Then, for the males, it's bayong-bayong, but for the girls, it's dalagita. So dalagita would be 15 until, so anong age. And then ulitaw and dalaga. The ulitaw would be something like who really is, highly developed muscles na. So maybe around 18 to around, between 18 and 21. Then you have the dalaga, no? And then we have a term for hingkod. So people will say, okay, hingkod na imong panuigon. If you are mature of age, then you can get married, you can make your own decisions. Or the other term for that is hamtung, no? That's why in Cebuano, for those who are not Cebuano speakers, we'll say hamtung og panabot. That means a mature, a mature mind. And then you have, between that is also then the term tigulang. Tigulang is always, there's in fact someone who has already white hair, wrinkled skin. I'm looking at it from the context, no, of how I understood it. Okay, so and then you would have, and then when it's really a person who has, who's really bent, kanang kuana, because of, we know later on to be of, because of scoliosis, tigulang na kaayo, no? So we, in fact, the more tiguwa, and then in the context, if we say tiguwang nakaina siya, so that means it must be very, very old, no? That's how we express our age, because we don't count our age in terms of the number of years, no? But so in fact, a lot of people never really consider age, no? In the context of traditional Philippines, to have those number, no? Although we have a calendar. Remember, we have a calendar system. We know that, but it's more on along those lines. And then you would have, if you become tigulang, the assumption is you also are married. You are also, and if you're tigulang na kaayo, you are already an uyang or an uyong. You become a grandmother or grandfather. That's why this is also a pressure, no? So from that age grading, if you are, let's say, 45 and you're not yet married, you become tigulang nga ulay. That means unsoiled, no? Unsoiled virgin. Munang usay na, there's a term uray, no? Which is really from that word. And then of course, from the grandfather, and then we also count, if your grandfather or grandmother, then you also count whether you have an apo, which is the first gen, and then your apo sa tuhod o apo sa lapalapa, which means that's the second and third generation apo if you get to live longer. But like the one in what's this, in Negros, at 127 years old, my goodness, I wonder how many apos does she have, no?
Yeah, so the grandfather is really Oyong, and the grandmother is Oyang
Uyang, yes.
in the Visayan English dictionary that you mentioned.
Yes,
So
yes.
Lolo and Lola is not Visaya. It
No,
is,
it's not.
where did we get that?
I think that is
Lolo and Lola.
Ulong.
Yes. So we have actually our viewers they are watching right now. We have Rosemary Barillo Manligoy from Katil Davao Oriental. Thank you for being with us. Also to Dr. Ruel Longinos and also our musician Joseph Aldrin Imbong. Thank you for watching. And then for everyone, you can already comment your questions because we could ask the panelists your questions as we go along. Now, we would like to show you this video that we made because in pre-colonial Cebu, in this account of Antonio Pigafetta, who was with Magellan in the journey around the world, in the first journey around the world. So when they came to Cebu, the Pigafetta was describing this ritual done by the spiritual leaders who were old women. So the Babaylan, the healer in pre-colonial Cebu, in pre-colonial Visayas, were women, and in that description by Antonio Pigafetta, the women were old. So we have our version of the Babaylan ritual, and then of course this was part also of our video of the Sinulog, because we trace also the Sinulog to this the Babaylan of Cebu, aside from the war done Sinulog by the warriors of Sulu. So we have this version of a Babaylan ritual that we would like to show you. And here it is. Daghang salamat. So we cut it abruptly because the next part of that is already our version of the Sinulog dance. So that description of Pigafetta was there were actually 3 old women who were dancing because at that time they were it was a ritual to slaughter the pig because they couldn't eat the pork without this ritual done by women, by old women. They were offering rice cakes and grilled fish and other food to during the ritual, and of course even during burial of chiefs, it was the old women, it was the women were the ones who would officiate or who would lead the rituals. So that was the power of women and gays at that time, because the Babaylan, the healers, were the feminized men and the women. So only the men dressed like women were able to perform the rituals or who became spiritual leaders. So that's the power of the LGBT or the women and gays at that time. So of course, so we have our comment from at the Palmgrass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel page from 𝐊𝐲𝐬𝐚𝐲, that she said, 𝐊𝐢𝐬𝐚𝐲. And then, of course, from 𝐕sayan, I don't know if Israel is a he or a she, pero kung sa he or she said, sa family sa akong father, 16 sila kabuok. They're 16. Congratulations. Very productive. Murag maon nga ilang tawagan. Manoy, Ingkong, Manang, Insi, Uray, Titi, Manding, Kuya, Dudong. So there is a something to call someone, a label for someone. Sa depende sa when he or she was born, or regarding the sequence of birth. So we also would like to greet Vince Derek Wakino for watching. Thank you for catching up after your online class. You said Vince Derek was commenting in our post that he would catch up after his online class. So now we would like to show you this. We would like now to ask Dr. Joy regarding pre-colonial Visayas, regarding the what did age, if age played a role in ascending social roles and status change.
Well, I think this is very interesting, no? Because, for example, let's take the context of the babaylan, no? Because you just showed that the idea of the a medium, a spiritual medium, is a very important component of not only the Philippines but really the entire of Southeast Asia. And in the context of Cebu, you have the babaylan, but they don't ascend as babaylan immediately, but rather they go through an apprenticeship period. And this has been also documented by Dr. Magos, no? That they go through an apprenticeship period once they have already the signs that they are going to become because not everyone can become a babaylan, no? It's either gifted through a dream, or you have a relative, you inherit the skill of the babaylan. So what happens is you will go through the process of apprenticeship with the babaylan. And eventually, up to when you reach a certain age, the spirit guide will know that it is right. And usually it is at the point of middle age and older. No, so that's how powerful So that means in this context, you become a leader. In fact, among the Subanons, you have a council of leaders who are older members of society, who are heads of families, no? So they come together and make a decision. So there's a certain age that you ascend. However, warrior class, raiders, we were mangayaws, no? In the history of the Visayas, the Pintados and everything. These are also men who would have, younger, but but also apprenticed, I believe, with the other older ones, because your strategy, the experience of being a hunter can only be learned when you apprentice with another hunter, even how you go into the current. So I'd like to say that you have it's a skill that you learn through time. That's why you have to be with an older generation. So therefore, in fact, when you look into our Philippine value system, no, we would always say, kung matiguang ka, dapat naakay gikatiguangan. That means that when you're older, you have to have some wisdom that goes with it, no? Because we always equate that when you're older, you have wisdom, and therefore hamtong, no. That's why even in marriage rituals, kanang mangagad, it's not only the parents who will be there, but there's also a natural leader in the community who is highly respected, who will now speak for and in behalf of the family of the man when they go out and ask for the hand of the woman, because he is the one who vouches, no, or the family of this man vouches for the integrity of this person. So I'd like to say that their age plays an important role in this in pre-Hispanic community. And that
Yes.
reminds me, I think you can ask that later, but there's an account, diba, of Herona, and we will look into, I'm
Yes,
not
I
gonna
will
say
ask
it.
you now that. So we have this actually, our artwork right now is done by young people. So this Babaylan, old Babaylan, was done by a UP Fine Arts student,
Mhm.
Ina de la Cruz. And when
Mhm.
she had an internship, and then she was one of those who made the artworks here at Pamgras. And then
Mhm.
this is her version of the old Babaylan. And then
Yeah.
this one, and this artwork, the old warrior, was created by our grade school students who joined the
Mhm.
poster making contest. What's her name?
Mhm.
And so this is actually her version of Lapu-Lapu. So
Mhm.
I know if regional director RD Amit Quezon is watching, he would not agree to an illustration or a portrayal of Lapu-Lapu being an old man.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
what I would like to ask you now regarding that
What I think.
what you think about is it do you also think like Dr. Hirona, who said that Lapu-Lapu was already old during the Battle of Mactan?
Very interesting question, no? But I went back to the account of Dr. Herona, which he actually it came from the account of Gaspar de Correa, who was a Portuguese historian. And then he said that because he says that, he was the only one who gave a clue of the personality of Lapu-Lapu based on the accounts of those who survived and returned to Spain. And they were saying that he was very old. Now, this thing with very old is really interesting. Look, we are there are studies that when you are always out in the sun, you tend to, the collagen in your face, you tend to develop wrinkles and the like. So maybe to the eyes, look, this is a Spaniard who looks at things very differently from the way we look at things. No, so there's also a very subjective view into this. So maybe in his eyes, Lapu-Lapu was very old. In fact, he was saying 70 years old. There are also two ways of looking at it, that maybe his face was aged because of the sun. But on the one hand, in the context of Cebuano, kung praktisado ka, you will always, when kung praktisado, that means a person who really keeps on exercising and observes, drink on moderation, and maybe there was smoking before. I don't know. No, there was no smoking. There's no account. Uh,
Tobacco.
yeah, but so what happens is, um, maybe he was old to the eyes of the Spanish soldiers, because because they were basing it from the context of their culture, not in the context of who we are. So, and also because of darker skin, when you've lived for a very long time and you only see white people, everything that you see is dark, kanang the contrast of skin. So maybe about 60 or maybe 55, but it would also, but if it's 70, really, if there's really more evidence, then it would also say that that's really very good genetics, if you will, no, because that
Yes.
means if you're 70 and can still fight a battle,
Yes.
that means you are very, very healthy.
Yes. And of course, Lapu-Lapu was the general of that
Yeah.
battle. So he
Hmm.
was very skilled and he had
Hmm.
wide experience. So
Yes.
he knew how to
Yes.
defeat the Spaniards, his
Yes.
enemies.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
of course, if he was a part of the Council of Elders, we don't
Hmm.
know. But of course, we
Yeah.
know he's the chief of
Yes.
of of Mactan at that time. So,
Hmm.
but actually, Regional Director Ahmed was just saying that he wants Lapu-Lapu to be portrayed as really is a very six pack abs and not old, because it would be inspiring people, because you portray, he said, you would portray heroes in their prime at the time of their, because if he is a warrior, he should be portrayed as a warrior. So that's the
Well,
also opinion of Director Ahmed, if he is watching. So there is also a question already right now from the National Quincentennial Committee page regarding this from is this from Rose? And of course, we have also a comment from Paul that said that I remember my mom and her grandfather and grandmother as Uyong and Uyang. Uyong and Uyang. Of course, in sa Bisaya, wala tay soft nga O. Everything is hard. So Uyong,
Uyong,
Uyang,
uyang.
Uyang. And Rose is commenting. Am I right in saying that the women, the Filipinos, or the women in our islands, in our archipelago, or the Filipinas now, were empowered long before the Spaniards came? That treating women as second class was Western, a Western influence.
True.
So, Dr. Joy, what's your, how do you, is Dr. Joy okay? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. No,
No.
I think, well, there, as I've said earlier, no, we were not segregated in terms of by gender, no, or women can only do this. Women can actually do so many things. No, in fact, education. You know, if you read through the Pegafeta accounts, but also barangay, which is really very much available online already. It says that
Yes.
women can equally, in fact, going back to my special topic, I like the topic of the babaylan because the babaylan actually played a very important role in enhancing the image of the chief, no? And they work together closely because the babaylan validates the status of the chief, and the chief listens to the babaylan, no? So if in that has nothing to do with women, but because of the position they occupy and the wisdom that they would have in this context. So she's correct. I would agree with her rather.
Yes. So the women were very empowered, and even the LGBT were empowered before the Spaniards came. The women can acquire properties the same as men.
Yes.
So they were revered in their. For example, if they were healers, they were the ones who would do everything. Like, you cannot eat pork if there's no babaylan around. If there's no babaylan around, you cannot eat the pork. And of course, when you are when the girls are prepared to getting married, and of course those who perform circumcision, those were the women, the babaylan and the gays. And also when there were gadgets in the sexual organs of men, because the women wouldn't have any sexual relations with the men without those gadgets, the women, the babaylan, would do it. So they know antiseptic and healing and poisons. They also killed the enemies. So that's how how powerful women were. So thank you very much, Dr. Joy. We would now have some questions to our other panelists. But before that, we would like to show you to know more about our situation or the conditions in the Visayas before the Spaniards came. So we have these books at our palm grass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel, Basahanan. So in our bookshop, we have this book by Barangay by William Henry Scott. And you would be able to avail of this book when you just send us a message. And also, if you want to know about the writing, the Binisaya writing in pre-colonial Visayas. So we have the Surat Binisaya by Dr. Rolando Borinaga. We also discussed this in our previous forum. And then also, we have also words on Visayan arts and this dictionary of Visayan arts. And these are, this is by Dr. Erlinda Alburo, and this is also available at Palmgrass, Basahanan. So, in our bookshop and mini library, but right now, we don't allow yet reading of the books or free reading of the books. So, we would now like to ask some questions to our panelists who studied about the elderly in modern society. So we would now like to compare the situation or how we regarded, how the Visayans or the Filipinos regard now the elderly compared to the older the old times or in ancient times. Because of course, according to Dr. Joy, there were council of elders, and that is a common situation in Southeast Asia. the Council of Elders is also, they also have Council of Elders in Sulu, in other parts of our archipelago, and in other parts of Southeast Asia. So now we would like to ask Roxanne Doron regarding his study about aging and the elderly. So in modern Visayan society, or in Philippine society right now, what are perceptions regarding aging?
Yes, no, thank you for that question. Actually, we look up to people who are old, no? Even before I think based from the discussion of Dr. Gerra, we look at people who has experience, and kinsa man tawhana na experience. Syempre, katong na edad na hamtong, no? O nang naa sila kanang wisdom. And then many Filipino view the aging process from direct interactions with their family members and older Filipinos in their surrounding community, no? Living in multi-generational households and communities shape perceptions of aging as a responsibility, no? So, yes, this is true. Kay kanang aging is also not just about age, not just about wisdom, no? Nga based sa ilang experience, but it also about responsibility to the younger people, to the younger generations. Due to the establishment of family rules, adult engagement in the workforce, and family social ties, no? Yes, next slide, please. And then older adults who receive more social support from their relatives often feel encouraged and have better perceptions about their own aging process. So katuding mga katiguangan nato nga naka-experience og nindot nga pag-atiman, no? Nindot pud ang process sa ilang pagkahamtong, no? Pero katong mga Filipino elders nga lahi ang ilang experience sa ilang pagkahamtong, pagkatiguang, lahi pud ang ilang perception about that, no? Filipino elders' perceptions of aging are derived from the unique life experiences and social units that encompass their lives. Mao na siya nga, if you put older people sa kanang mga home for the aged, and they from sunrise to sunset, ang ilang mga istorya, ang ilang makita, puro pud tiguang, wala manggali mga bloodline, family members ngadto, no? Lahi ang level of encouragement, no? Not the same sa katong mga elderly nato nga naagid sa tong pamilya. And often mura kita whether kaning mga modern nga mga families, no, Filipino families, sa atong mga households naagid ngadto na atong mga katiguangan, di kita ganahan nga ilahi sila, no?
Yes.
Daghan kaayo og kanang daghan kay factors, no? Nga bahalag wa ning bata, bahalag ni abroad na ni ang young adult nako, basta si lula, basta si lulo, naalang gidinha. Naalang gimubalik niya aron matimanon siya. Yeah, no, so na inana ang atong level of kanang attachment to the elderly. And I think that is not just unique to Cebuanos or Filipinos, but in South Asian families as well.
Yes. So we always hear people who would say that they don't like the idea of home for the aged, right? But then, of course, it's also a reality that if the aged or the elderly should be cared for properly. So, yes. And then there is also a comment. So we would like to, before we go to the other question, there is a comment from the NQC page from Rosemary Barillo. She was the one who asked about the power of, the empowerment of women before the Spaniards came. So she's so proud that women are so empowered before the Spaniards came, and she says that there is a need really to strengthen the sense of nationalism and patriotism through the Araling Panlipunan curriculum. And cheers to us Filipinos. So is Araling Panlipunan is still in a subject right now, right?
Yes, I think for senior high school students,
yes,
they're required to attend Araling Panlipunan.
So Roxanne, so we would like to ask you, for example, how do Cebuanos care for the elderly?
Ako ang kaita nga mga Cebuanos, no, kanang kung mag-observe lang ka sa mga communities, whether kanang high-end communities o bisan ngadto sa mga kanang informal settlers, no, there is modern cities nato. Naagid ka almost every household naagid atong tiguwang nga atong giatiman, no, inana siya. So family caregiving is so deeply entrenched in our culture that it seems nga sakit kayo ibiya. Sakit kay ibiya maghunahuna pagyud tani maghunahuna pagyud dili day pagyud ang word nga ang maghunahuna gid nila, no? Because Filipinos, like many other Asian cultures, value filial piety and caring for older family members later in life, no? Di ba tingali tungod ni sa kaluoy or what? But then again, I think we have a high sense of respect for the elderly. Mao bitaw ng rason nga naagi tay balaod nga nagprotect ana nila, because it becomes not just a family responsibility but also a societal responsibility. Ang mga syudad nato naagi na sila mga senior citizens affairs commission, na sila kanang, that's how we value people nga of old age, no? Na sila allowance nga ihatag karon mga pandemic, gi-prioritize na to sila even sa pag-rank sa pag-vaccinate. Sila maoy A2, no? A2 ba? Yes, A2. Yeah. Ang A1 ang mga medical frontliners in order of priorities. That's how government look at the elderly in the Philippines in the context of the current pandemic. So inana ka importante, no? Kaya di taganahan mawaha sila, no? Inana. Although Filipinos may share the same obligation to care for family members as other Asian cultures, we differ because both males and females share decision making and financial tasks, di ba? So, mo na mingon ta ingna sa imong lulo ngadto ka, ingna sa silula nimo ngadto ka, labi nagnaay biyuta nga ibaligya or imo jud silang konsultahon because they should be part in decision making, labi na sa naghisgot na ni siya og kanang sa tawag ani kanang future sa tibuok household. So the dedication to family caregiving is evident in Filipino as well as in Cebuano culture, no? And it is part of the very fabric of Philippine society. Caregiving in Filipino households is so commonplace that failure to provide care or resources to family members in need is seen as shameful or hiya in Tagalog. Mo nagingon, wa ka mauwa no imo nang gipan mas tamasan ang imong lolo lola, di ka kabaw mo respeto, magabaan gyud ka, di ba? So kana siya, I think di lang nakaron, no? Ato na siyang na inherent ba? Gikan pagyud sa atong mga katiguangan. Mo nang kumutan-aw ta nila, mura po na sila tan-aw tag Dios or santos nga kanang holy nga kinahanglan dili sila bugal-bugalan.
Yes.
Otherwise magabaan ka.
Yes, I remember that, Roxanne, in our discussion a few months ago regarding sculpture, the sculpture in the Visayas. Each household in the Visayas have anitos. Each household has anitos. And one household, according to Professor J. Hore, fine arts professor in UP Cebu, who studied also the arts in the Visayas before the Spaniards came. Alcina, or those chroniclers from the Spanish missionaries, saw that the households in the Visayas have anitos, and those anitos were actually the ancestors. Every time someone dies in the family, an anito is made in her behalf. So those figures, or those whom they prayed to, in the altar, the anitos were actually their ancestors. So they're actually treated as like gods, like the elderly or those who died were actually treated as like gods or holy, as you said. So the elderly are holy for us. So that's why laws should be made as to care for the elderly, right? So we thank Ferdinand Ascaraga for watching, and everyone of those in the Facebook Live, in the NQC page, at Pamgras sa Cebu Heritage Hotel page, SOAN 2020, and the Diyandi Heritage Center. So now we have another question for our ethnoarchaeologist, Dr. Joy Gerra. So we have this question about how has economic transformation influenced the concept of age throughout the years?
Well, that's a very deep question, huh? But however, when you are in an agricultural society, as I've said, we in 500 years ago, we never really counted age in terms of years, but rather it was like there was a demarcation. When you're married, you must be mature, And when you have grandchildren, you must be uyang, no? But this has changed in the context of capital mercantilist and capitalist economy, which you now have you now are a commodity. So as a commodity, there is now an assigned value. So in this context, young people are assigned a much higher value because this is the ability for them to sell their labor, diba? This is the principle. Whereas if you're already a bit older, then the assumption there is that you are less efficient in doing work. Therefore, eventually you will there's what is known as a retirement of. So this is how we economic transformation has actually commodified, if you will. No, I'm using that the age that's why that is why, and this is something quite dangerous also, because sometimes we know that there are certain skills that only improves with age. That there are certain the more experience you have as you of course get older, that you have actually more to say about something, no? So but and this is very important in the study of Margaret Clark, no, because she's the one who really did studies in this. It's called situated aging. So, and she was saying that when you look into the context of modern life, of which there's a certain age. In fact, they have mapped out that you're only functional between your only murag shelf life, if you will, ha, kanang from age 20 all the way to around 45 and 50, and then from there it goes down. That's something, I've read it somewhere. I wonder, see, Professor Roxanne will have to tell me if this has changed now. But what are the social cultural contexts, no, which has really changed? Independence, where before independence was not because you're part of the family, so you're assured that you have food, the family will take care of you. But now, when you get a salary, you also forgot to get married because you were engrossed in your career. So what happens? You end up becoming, on your own, because all your other friends end up getting married. And then there's also the context of social acceptability of being aged, both for the person himself or herself and the society that looks at it, no, because sometimes if you have a society that commodifies age and says, well, even you're over 60, you are you're not that important anymore. So then we have a very different notion of what is old age. And then the other thing is, how adequate are the personal resources. So that's the reason why, I'm very happy that there is I think there was a proposal for a minimum allowance, no, for senior citizens that they should get, because I think, whether they have entered economic activity but and really have salaried positions, or whether they cared for the grandchildren or their children. These are all, they're really equal, because if you cared for these kids, then you have made functional members of society, if you will, ha, kanang functional members nga walay, they really became functional to society and contributed to society. So that's very important. And ability to cope with external threats. Sometimes, in a society that has increasingly become individualized, and for families alienated from each other, sometimes they have they have not known someone older in their family. They tend to consider, they tend to disregard this age group, no, and sees this as more of a liability than an asset, no. So these are also changes that are really confronting. And then significance, like, I do believe that, and in the study of Margaret Clark, that even in modern societies, there is still, you have to seek significance and meaningful goals, even as a senior citizen. And finally, it's also the ability to cope changes of the self. No, that, sorry, when you're over 60, you probably will not be able to jump to the second floor. Like no, I'm kidding. You just jump from stairs, diba? Or sometimes, you jump into a branch, from branch to branch. You cannot do that anymore. So these are also certain adjustments. And economic transformation plays a very important role. Modern way of life actually has more challenges, I believe, to the elderly and aging as compared to, say, maybe 500 years ago. That was very normal that when a member of your family is old, you took care of it without question. That's the reason why, in fact, there's a generation of like heritage homes. You ask in heritage homes, Kinsay, who are dalagang ulay there? Because chances are there's always one or two who will take care of mama or papa. And then, and if the boyfriend, the potential suitor, does not wait, so she becomes an ulay or her life and takes care of the house.
So thank you very much, Dr. Joy. So we have actually a very long comment for you. So before we ask this question for Roxanne, there is a very long comment for you at the National Quincentennial Committee page. So this is from Paul, and this is a question and asking a comment from Dr. Joy Gerra. There seems to be a very strong dialectic coming from us moderns when we look back at prehistoric Visayans. The power of women versus the power of men, power of gays versus power of discrimination, nationalism versus the blood network of relations between the datos. The respect for elders in pre-Hispanic times was so ingrained and endemic, nobody questioned it. Lapu-Lapu was old because he was a tribal leader, perfectly normal. Babaylanes were listened to because they connected our forefathers to the beyond.
Mhm.
Those who passed away joined their relatives in the afterlife. Am I right? I kindly comment, Dr. Gerra.
Oh, that's a long list. That's a whole semester
you just
class.
you just comment on kanang what you remember in that long
Yeah.
list.
No, I think in that, okay, age grading is very important. I think and this is, well, it's very important to have, if you will, hierarchy, because this is where order emanates, no? In that context, well, I'm working at very little data, so in that context of what we know, it's functional. There was no anthropologist then, no, who really did it. So we're not closing this discussion, because that's the reason why we would like to encourage people to do research, go over historical records, because what we're saying now may be wrong. There are no absolute truths when you look into social sciences and in history. There's no such thing as definitive history. It will always change based on the data available to you. Okay, now I beg to disagree with man versus woman, because I think this is the modern treatment of how we look at it, no? But when we really look into it, it was really more of a cooperation and a partnership, and definitely there probably was quarrel between husband and wife, and all these other things. I think it's very important for us to realize that we come from a very different social system before the Spanish period, and that's why it's good to revisit this, because there are also some remnants of that. For example, why are women in the Philippines ascend? We're one of the countries in Asia where women can ascend. No, we're still really we have a remnant of that culture, of which allows does not define people by their gender orientation. Anyone who has the ability to, uh, who can contribute to society can be a part of that. No, so muna ang what I think I don't I really don't, because for scant very little data, what we just know from ethnographic accounts is that the Bayugs, for example, were given, were recognized. In fact, this was Alcina who said that there were also men members of the community who dressed like women and did not have tattoos. That's why he said that. And this was also seen in the study of the Tingyans. There's a picture there of a bayog. So no, I think these are, there are different layers of cultural experiences, no, that's embedded in us. So therefore, we really have to see this. And in the end, I'd like to say that I'd like to see a society, a Philippine society that is far more understanding, far more liberal than the patriarchal system that was introduced to us. Second, we remember if we were not colonized, I'd like to think, and this is my opinion, that we would probably end up becoming nation states rather than the Philippines. So maybe this will be the nation of Cebu, and we would have been cooperating with, I mean, think along those lines. So
Yes.
there are many things, no? So I think the question of nationalism, it's very important. You see, when we appreciate who we are in the context of the today and where we are, then it's easy to appreciate also the context of the other people. And when we begin to understand each other and the context that we are in the historical process, then it's easy to identify that the goal of the Philippines is just to have a united country, but very diverse in its origins. But we have one goal of cooperating with each other.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Joy, for that answer to Paul's question. And then also, before we ask Roxanne another question, we have this comment also from Noah Rafairo at Palmgrass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel page. Hello, is it still correct to address my grandparents as nanay and tatay? Since with its context, these words are used commonly for parents. I am curious if these are also to be considered okay with using it for grandparents and elderly or aunts and uncles with old age. Who wants to answer this? Roxanne, do you want to answer this? Ikaw na? Roxanne, let's have Roxanne to answer this question.
Yeah, no, labels or words are very dynamic, no? Mag-usab-usab na siya. Tapos usahay atong tawgon sa atong lola, mama, nya. Ang other people, nanay, whatever label nga comfortable ta mo gamit, usually mo itong gamiton. But based on experience and history, ang nanay common general terms nga atong gi-refer na nila. But napoy very specific. Some families or some apo, anak, lahi lang tawag sa ilang mga grandmothers, no? Like what you said, mama, inana, mommy, whatever. These are influences from other people, from other cultures, no, and other practices, and they are not wrong because they're all positive, no? They're all positive labels nga nagsignify sa atong kanang attachment, trust, and love sa atong mga elderly.
So Roxanne, now we are going to discuss the situation today of the elderly in Cebu, the Visayas, in our country. What is now the situation of the elderly?
Yes, no, the elderly population in the Philippines is steadily increasing in the past decade, no? Kung tanaw nimo katong data nga akong gi-provide from statistika, from 4.5 10 years ago na 5.5 na tingali, no? I think 5.5.
5.5.
Yeah,
latest.
Latest 2020 is 5.5%. It's steadily increasing. Then the elderly dependent population, like aged 65 and older, comprises 3.83% of the population sa katong 5.5%. And it is expected by 2025 ang atong elderly, no? I don't know if fortunately or unfortunately, maabot siya og 10.25% sa Philippine population. So, according to the National Council on Aging, about 92% of seniors have at least one chronic disease, and 77% had at least two. Inana. So nana gid sila yung mga gipamati sa lawas. Mabitaw ni nga kada palit nila o kanang tambal na gyud ni sila discount. That's how we value them, no? Permi naman ni nila gamiton. For example, na kasamihan na mga heart disease, stroke, cancer, and diabetes are among the most common and costly chronic health conditions, causing 2/3 of deaths each year for our elderly. However, Filipinos have a strong cultural value on and respect for age and for the elderly. So we always look up to people who are older than us, especially mga katong mga elderly na gyud, no? Young people are expected to show respect to the elderly as well as older members of the family. Other adults should be addressed in polite language, preferably with appropriate titles of respect. Mao tong question ganiha, no? Na polite language good usually. Niya, di pananihit kayo panagsakay pili tingita mo syagit sa tong mama pero nanagita sa tong lola, lolo mura kita ka syagit, di ba? Kita kasinghag kay kung sigaan sa tong mata, masiga ilang mata.
So, Roxanne, as there is also we have also an audience from Dapitan City, from Museo ni Jose Rizal sa Dapitan,
Yes.
Sophia Igia Bagulbok. Thank you very much, Sophia, for watching. And then, so now we will now have this question also for Roxanne regarding the aging population. Is it a problem? So you said
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you said that we are now 5%, which means, of course, the life is it now the life expectancy of the Visayans, the Filipinos are now is it now older, or what is happening to the life expectancy of people
Yes.
in our country, in our islands, and then is
Yeah.
aging? It's because you said that it's 5% already, the aged.
Yeah, is the aging population a problem? I don't think it is a problem, no, because statistically wise, it's 5.5% compared to the overall workforce of the economy is still low, no? Because ang kwarta nga giayuda nato sa senior citizens, gikan man na siya sa labor sa working people, no? Kanang mga 18 to 56 or 18 to 60 years old. So ang atong gi-contribute sa government through taxes padung man ang adto sa mga senior citizens through aid, di ba? And then if the 40% of our population is providing support to 5.5% of our population, that's not a huge problem. However, it becomes huge, no, kung ang 40% sa atong population aging, mga elderly na, yung atong working people about less than that. So you cannot expect 10% of our population to support 40% of the entire working in the elderly. Mo na nahitabo sa ubang nasod like in Japan and in other Western industrialized countries. Nag-uul sila kaya ang trabaho para musuporta sa white trabaho gamay man inana.
So so it's not a problem,
so
but it should be addressed. How the old people are being cared for should be addressed.
It is projected to increase. Therefore, we already have projection is scientific. Therefore, we should address that right now, no? Okay, nag-project naman tayo in 2025. So what are we going to do? What are the interventions to ensure that they will be protected, supported, and taken care of?
Yes. So that's how. So we celebrate Grandparents' Day. We celebrate our grandparents by looking at how they should be cared for.
Yes.
And it is not just the individual family that should care for them, but the society and the government, the whole community should be able to care for our elderly, the grandparents, and not just the individual household. Especially that majority of the people in our country are living below the poverty line, right?
Yes, yes.
So there should be a concerted, a community effort to take care about elderly, and it to just not be the burden or the responsibility of one household, right? So everyone should care for everyone, especially it is said that a community is being, we would know what a community is in how the community takes care of the most vulnerable in the community, and especially the elderly, and especially the elderly who are poor and who are marginalized.
Mm-hmm.
So they should be taken care of.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I know there are so many questions from everyone, and then we also have our reactors. We will have a senior citizen reactor. We have these reactors. We also have a Sangguniang Kabataan from our youth who will react, and also a heritage advocate who will react. And so we would like to show you these books at Pamgras de Cebu Heritage Hotel, who were authored by now senior citizens and even someone who already passed away. So we have this book. So we would know the wisdom of the elderly in these books. So we have this book from 𝐭𝐢𝐧𝐬𝐚𝐲, and this is a short history of Cebu from the 1500s to the 1890s and the anti-Spanish Revolution in Cebu. And this is from the late 𝐭𝐢𝐳. And this is available at Pamgras, Basahanan ni Lumaya. And also another senior citizen, also the author of this book, Leon Kilat, The Untold Story of the 1898 Cebu Revolution. And this is from 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐬𝐚𝐲. And of course, Emil would not agree to be called Tigulang. He is mature and he has wisdom, but dili tigulang. Sug pa kayo mo inom og tuba. And tuba can make you young. And we have tuba here at Palmgrass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel. And also, we also have this book by a heritage author and former director of the Cebuano Study Center. She is already a senior citizen, but she always sends me articles, her write-ups on our Cebu heroes. Very intelligent, still very smart, who greatly contributed to Cebu heritage and to the study on Cebu heritage and history and Visayan heritage and history. And Dr. Ilinda Alburo also has this book recently published and released, so Gilambong, about the Cebuano, the pre-war Cebuano novel. And also, we have books here at Palmgrass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel by Dr. 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐬𝐚𝐲. So our national artist for literature is already a senior citizen. And he recently celebrated his birthday. Malipayong adlang natauhan to Dr. 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐬𝐚𝐲. So of course, on Grandparents' Day, we have been we have been showing you heritage gifts, ideas for our lolo and lola. We have books, and then we also have this sinugatan items, these gifts from Cebu. We have this brass bracelet, like my brass bracelet made by the Tibuli of Lake Cebu, and also this musical instrument kubing, also from the Tibuli of Lake Cebu. We also have coconut wallet. We have our 𝐊𝐷𝗋𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 𝐵𝐷𝗀𝐻𝐵𝐷𝗀𝐻𝐿𝐷 Chatrohong Kera mug that we offer. And then, of course, we have the hablon sa argao. We can give this as gifts to our grandparents and even to ourselves and to your friends and loved ones. So we have here the hablon sa argao at my background. So we have the hand-printed hablon sa argao, and also the one I'm wearing. This one I'm wearing right now. This is hablon sa argao. And also, these are very beautiful gifts for everyone. And these are available at Palmgrass Sinugatan Gifts from Cebu. Now, let's get ready to hear. So we have this. You can still ask your questions. Those at our page, the pages I am looking at. Those at the Diyandi Heritage Center at 𝐶OAN 2020. I can't read your comments. I only have 2 phones to monitor, and then so. We have this sharing by this comment from Jennifer Lapinig Ikaw Kalyeha. Tagadapitan pud ko, pero ni ako sa Malta. So daghang salamat, Jennifer, for watching us. A Dapitanon who is now based in Malta. Dual citizen. Regards ninyo tanan. Unfortunately, mulakaw ko. So rewind na lang. So we look forward to you, Jennifer, playing back this event. So we also have a comment from Paul, and he agrees with you, Dr. Doron. So Roxanne Doron is a candidate for PhD, but he is already now given the doctoral award. that was by Paul. And then I very much agree with you, Roxanne Doron, about the care for the elderly. Thank you. Of course, we all agree we should take care of the elderly. If without them, we would not be here. So now, we are very excited to have with us right now. Is he already a senior citizen? Not yet. Already a senior citizen. One of the partners of Palmgrass the Cebu Heritage Hotel in our rebranding 𝐭𝐢𝐠𝐻𝐻 Street project. We have this 𝐵𝐷𝗀𝐻𝐵𝐷𝗀𝐻𝐿𝐷 Chatrohong and this is a project of the 5 barangays along 𝐭𝐢𝐠𝐻𝐻 Street. Cogon Ramos, Kalubihan, Camagayan, Santa Cruz, and San Antonio. And the universities here near 𝐭𝐢𝐻𝐻 Street, University of San Jose Recoletos in a few years back. We have the University of the Visayas and the University of San Carlos joining Palmgrass Cebu Heritage Hotel in this project of rebranding 𝐭𝐢𝐻𝐻 Street. And then we we have organized the youth in these streets, and we have our barangay captains and our SK in these barangays partnering with us in our project of developing the talents of the youth to in Bagong Teatro Jonquera in a community theater. So right now, one of our reactors is the barangay captain, a very active barangay captain, and a barangay captain of Barangay Cogon Ramos, a partner in our rebranding Jonquera Street program, and he is also a senior citizen. Please help me welcome Barangay Captain Omar Dorano. So we are so happy that Barangay Captain Omar is here with us.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So we would like to ask you, mangutana minimo Kap, unsa imong reaction kabahin sa atong discussion karon, kabahin sa mga Kinsay tigulag o kabahin sa mga unsa ang mga tigulang 500 years ago diri sa Visayas?
Ako lang ika-comment, ma'am, nga ang kanang maabot na ta sa ano nga edad. So we are very respect, no, katang naa sa ang atong mga batanon, makahatag yun sila mga respect sa ilahang mga as long nga mga senior citizens. So maka-respect yun sila kung sa ilahang ikahatag ngadto sa mga older nila. Respect mo na permiro yun nila nga ikahatag.
Daghang salamat, Kap. So, Barangay Captain Omar was telling us that for those who cannot understand Bisaya or Cebuano, that the young people should give respect to the elderly. And then, Kap, unsa man ang mga program karon sa atong barangay to take care of the senior citizens?
Okay, so ang amo ang programa karon sa barangay is kanang kung dunay mga activities sila, we will have to support sa unsay ilang kanahan. Doon na sila magsuri-suri sa wala pa mga pandemic, so doon na sila mga chance nga makasuroy sila within Cebu province, no, doon na maglakbay kuan sila, so we will support them any programs nga naa sa barangay.
Daghang salamat, Kap. So, Barangay Captain Omar was saying that they are supporting, the barangay is supporting the activities of the senior citizens. And before the pandemic, they were encouraging them and supporting them in activities such as travel around the province and studying. Lakbay Aral for the senior citizens. Thank you very much, Barangay Captain Omar, for being with us and for your reaction.
Okay.
So, daghang salamat to Barangay Captain Omar for being with us and coming here at our safe, open-air venue at Hardin Dagami in this cloudy afternoon at Hardin Dagami. So, and then now we have another reactor. We have also with us the representative of young people in Barangay Kalubihan, and we have here also our partner. Kalubihan is our partner in the rebranding Jonquera Street program, and we are so happy that we have with us the Sangguniang Kabataan Chair of Barangay Kalubihan. We have Patrick Caballes.
So, hi Miss, and to all the viewers, good afternoon. Yeah.
So we would like to ask you about your reaction regarding our how we care for the elderly or the programs regarding the elderly, and what should we do? Like how should we regard, or pwede ra magbisaya sad?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, it is really an interesting topic or forum that we happen to have this afternoon. I actually shared it in our SK page and the Barangay Kalubihan. It's because our elderly will always be there. Nagikan sila sa bata. They started from like us teenagers until they age sa 60s, 70s or higher sa anang edad. So for me, caring, lucky to those who still have their grandparents with them, because me, I only had one, but she died already. So how we take care or how we take care of our grandparents, grabe kayo, they showed you the utmost love that they would give to you as a grandchild. Like di ko makalimot, whenever I go visit the province, I would always receive a kiss, kanang pilit jud kay nga kiss ba nga you could always have that sa grandparents sa jud nimo. And then they also happen to have a wonderful wisdom. Whenever you talk about something, they give you a wisdom that you could share or you could also imply into your life. And we are so much thankful for them. That you're right, Miss. You're talking about earlier that nagikan sila sa kabatanunan, then edad sila nana. So I am so proud with all the grandparents, our lolos and lolas, because they have fought a lot of battles in life, stress, challenges, but still they were able to manage. So for us the youth, how do we support them? We just show the love that we can give to them. The utmost respect that we could also give to our parents, and as much as we have given the time to care for them until to their last breath, then we should do that, because sayang, because the love that they could give you is everything. Kanang it will always give something to you as a person.
Daghang salamat, Patrick, for that beautiful sharing and reaction.
Thank you.
So I can really feel how much you love and how much you cherish our elderly. Thank you very much from the SK of Barangay Kalubihan. So, of course, there are so many reactions also right now from our audience. So please give your reactions and questions. Stay tuned for our trivia quiz, the most awaited part, one of the most awaited parts of our program, the trivia quiz, where you will win an overnight stay for two and with breakfast for two. And also for the physical audience, you have a chance to win this Manggahi Ka sa Kalami cake and smoothie of the month. So now we are still waiting for our other reactor. Before that, now we already have our trivia quiz. So are you ready, everyone? So for our first question, we would be asking our physical audience to answer. But then if the physical audience will not answer, and even those our guests at the roof deck, there at the second deck, if they want to answer this question, you can also join. You can come here to our microphone and answer the question. If you know this, then you would win the cake and smoothie of the month, which is Manggahi Ka sa Kalami. Manga. It's a mango cake, Manggahi Ka sa Kalami, smoothie and cake of the month. So also our reactors can also answer if they want, and everyone who is here, way labot sa technical team and speaker and panelists. So this is for the physical audience, the first. So we are happy that you're here with us. That's why this first question, but I don't know if you can answer this. It's very hard. But if you listen to the discussion by Roxanne Doron, you would be able to know the answer. So this is now the question. For the others, stay tuned. Prepare your fingers to be quick for those online. So now the first question. This is now the trivia quiz. In 2020, what percent of the Philippine population is age 65 and up? What percent of the population cannot go out during ECQ, MECQ, and GCQ? They can only go out at pila na? Kung MGCQ na, no? They can, Roxanne, can they already go out at MGCQ? So what percent of the population in the country is age 65 and up? Who wants to answer? While you are thinking of the answer, there is a comment from Rosemary at the NQC page. Rosemary says, I gained so much knowledge. So no one answered physically. So we have this answer from Who answered? Naghang akong phone. So, mao lang di ko kakita sa answer. At least you knew. So, because no one answered physically, dili pwede ang kuan. Sorry, Sherry Ed. Someone here would like to answer physically. So, who wants to answer? May you come down and go to or can you bring the microphone? Katong naa sa taas. She was the one who first said that she would like to answer. Can you give the microphone to her even if the people wouldn't? They would like to answer? No? Yes? Others have already online have answered correctly. But hello, can you bring the microphone to them and ask them to answer? So dili na sila mo answer. So here, dire dire at the first deck. Who would like to answer? Sige, so someone would like to answer. So the ones upstairs, there's still another question for the second trivia quiz. So we have here our Suki at Palmgrass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel Heritage Events. We have Raul. Can we show him? So what percent of the Philippine population is age 65 and up? What's your answer?
4.6% sa senior citizens of the population of the Philippines, age 65 and above.
But what year is that?
2020, almost 5% siya.
Would you like to revise your answer?
4.6 or 5% to 5%.
Saman, Roxanne, it's okay? Correct na 5%? Okay. But the accurate answer is 5.5%.
Alright.
But then we can accept 5% because the speaker says it's okay.
Okay.
Congratulations. And congratulations also to those who answered correctly. So congratulations, Raul, for coming here, and then you win. Manggahi ka sa kalami. Manggahi ka sa kalami. Cake and milk tea of the month. So we have also, thank you, Sherry, for the answer, and Brian, and yes, and they were saying about RA 999. It's RA 7432. What is this law, Roxanne? The RA 7432 and amended RA 999. This is for the senior citizens law. So now we have, thank you, Ferdinand, for watching, still watching. And then also we have also the answer from Marlon Manuel, 5.5%. Thank you for answering, but that was for the physical audience, for their effort of coming here. And of course, those at the NQC page can come here because and also at the Palmgrass page, you're all over the Philippines. So this next question is now for you. And this is for you and for everyone here at Palmgrass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel physically, but you will all answer through the Facebook page comment section of either the NQC page and the Palmgrass page. Our team can you look at the NQC page also? So we have now this our second and final question with the grand prize. So those who have won already an overnight stay cannot already join. And Raul cannot anymore join because he already has a prize. So, so we will have this question. And the price of this is an overnight stay. So you will all answer through the comment section of the Palmgrass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel event FB Live. And also, you can also answer at the National 𝐭𝐢𝐠𝐮𝐥𝐚𝐧𝐠 Committee page. So I am looking at the National 𝐭𝐿𝐠𝐮𝐥𝐚𝐧𝐠 Committee page, and the team is looking at Palmgrass de Cebu. Can someone also look at the NQC page, and who will be the first to answer? So anyway, so this is the second and the final question. This is the question. In the Kapulungan Binisaya in English, presented to us by Dr. Joy Gerra, what are the Bisaya words for grandfather and grandmother? So what are the Bisaya words for grandmother and grandfather as discussed by Dr. Joy Gerra? So we are waiting for your answers. So at the NQC page, no one has yet given his answer. At the PAMGRAS page, I haven't seen an answer yet. Or maybe ni hang ni akong phone. Sa PAMGRAS page, someone already answered at PAMGRAS page. And the answer is, di nakaka-join, Ferdinand. So give chance to others, Ferdinand. But you can still join our cosplay contest for Warrior Dagami. So we have the answer from Sherry Ed. Correct sad ang ulang actually. Kinsay first naka-answer? It's either ulang or uyang. Ang uyong. So the first was Sherry Ed. Sherry Ed ang first. So congratulations, Sherry Ed. From where are you, Sherry Ed? Are you from Cebu, the Visayas, or which part of the country or the world? You can still claim your 𝐊𝐢𝐻𝐿𝐽𝐺𝐬, our Rooms for Heroes, for giving the correct answer of what was the Binisaya words for grandfather and grandmother as discussed by Dr. Joy Gerra. So congratulations for winning an overnight stay at the beautiful Rooms for Heroes at PAMGRAS de Cebu Heritage Hotel. So we would also like to present to you today, the winners of the 𝐊𝐢𝐬𝐺𝐬 Law and La photo contest. We have the consolation prize winners. We have, may we show our consolation prize? So the prizes of these are those who won the consolation prize got a free dessert, this ubi cake, the ubi petit cake for grandfather or grandmother, and this is our lolo, and this is from Alexandra Agnes. Our lolo is very cool. He never fails to make us happy every day. And this is for grandparent Michael Blanco. Very wacky, right? So congratulations, Alexandra, for winning a free dessert for your lolo, Michael. And next we have this from Wilma Manggubat Bintad for grandparent Tulyang and Cleto Parihan. These two are cool since they can still work in the farm despite their age. Congratulations, Wilma, for winning this dessert for your grandparents. And we also have this consolation prize for Nilian Teleron for grandparent Bernardo. Wala mo sa akong lolo, kantahan ra kog dandansoy, makatug na dayon ko. So congratulations, Nilian, for winning winning the ubi petit cake for your lolo. And we also have daughter Dandan, and for grandparent Leticia Adlawan. Lola is the coolest lula, gyud, and pinaka-understanding. Congratulations, Dandan, for winning an ubi petit cake for your grandmother. And now we have is it already the winner? So we have this grand prize of the 𝐊𝐢𝐻𝐿𝐽𝐺𝐬 Lola, or the 𝐊𝐢𝐻𝐿𝐽𝐺 grandparent, 𝐊𝐢𝐻𝐿𝐽𝐺 Law and La Award, who won a Nigo package, a dinagat or seafood set, Nigo food package for Lola, from daughter Decibel Pestaño Nunez, for grandparent Teresita Pestaño. Flex lang na ako among lola nga mas bagets pa namo. Siya maoy nag-eskwela og nag-guide namo. Sukad pagkabata hangtod na mini graduate og naanay pamilya. So she says, I would like to flex my lola who is more bagets than us. She made us, she let us go. She was the one who sent us to school and who guided us from childhood until we graduated and already have a family. So congratulations, Decibel, for winning this 𝐊𝐤𝐚𝐲 package, the dinagat set for your Lola. Congratulations to our contestants and to these entries for the wackiest law and law contest. So we have also this, I think we have this entry that we haven't shown you, and this is from Anita Gonzalez and from granddaughter Meg Gonzalez. And we are not able to show you, and her message is this: since I started school until I had my first teaching job, my Lola would always cook meals for me so I can have my baon for lunch. So do we already have our reactor? Our third reactor is not yet here, and so we would like to ask you if you still have questions for our. You still have questions for our panelists. Do you still have questions there? Anyone, if you have questions or a sharing that you would like to 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 give us or share with us. So we would like to share with you that next month, next week, a week from now, we will have this event. We would like to invite you to this event, 𝐊𝐢𝐬𝐷𝐿, Ancient Weapons in the Visayas. And this is also in celebration of the 5 years of Hardin Dagami. Our venue right now is Hardin Dagami. So we are now, so this, of course, Dagami, Hardin Dagami, is named in honor of the warrior of Gabi. So they ambushed the troops of Miguel Lopez de Legazpi in 1565. Dagami led the resistance against Miguel Lopez de Legazpi from 1565 to 1567. And so we have this forum on September 22 at 3 p.m. with from Ateneo de Zamboanga, Dr. Feliz Noel Rodriguez, and archaeologist and social historian, Dr. Jobers Reynes Bersales from the University of San Carlos, who is also the USC Museum Director, and he is also a consultant of the Cebu Provincial Government. So you should join us in this event. This event also will have a Warrior Dagami cosplay contest. So this is a physical contest. So of course, if you want to suggest to have an online contest, you can also suggest. But right now, we only have physical contest. In the past, we have a contest through online. The ones online would compete with the ones who are here physically. But I think those who would be here physically would really want it to be for them because they would have an effort. They will make an effort to come here. But then everyone who's not from Cebu, would you like to have a Warrior Dagami cosplay contest online also? So we have in these two brains and brawn and brains men that you have seen and the Warrior Dagami cosplay contest were actually contestants of the Ginoong Pilipinas Cebu in 2019. And the Ginoong Pilipinas Cebu 2019 had a Heroes Award category held here at Pamgras, the Cebu Heritage Hotel. So the heritage advocates in Cebu, the board members of the Diyandi Heritage Center were the judges of these Heroes Awards, and we chose the Dagami Award and the Leon Kilat Award, and they were able to answer questions about heroism. So this is the one actually who won the Dagami Award is Dan Cahegas, the number 6 in the photo, and Benji Trozo, the number 8 is the one who won the Leon Kilat Award. So those are the men in Cebu, in the Visayas and Mindanao who won these awards 2 years ago. So, and then we also have another event, and this is now a fun event, 𝐊𝐤𝐧𝐬𝐚𝐲 𝐊𝐢𝐬𝐵 sa Dagami. So this is a celebration of the 5 years of Hardin Dagami, and then there would be contests and fun contests during this event, like I guess, pizza eating contest, tuba drinking contest. And so everyone is welcome to be here on September 22. And it's a 1 week celebration. There would be acoustic nights on this week. So we also would be launching this October and our Alima native massage. Massage is already allowed, especially for those who are vaccinated. And then, of course, our in-house guests would be able to avail of this. And we refer to our traditional healing methods in the traditional healing in the Visayas, and also our traditional herbs and traditional and to the Babaylan and how they healed in our Alima native massage. We are going to launch this, and you watch out for it. And then you would be able to experience foot bath with sea salt and ginger, massage with native herbs, and of course, other things. And so we would be also on October 30, and usually October 31 is a celebration of, usually in the Western, is the Halloween. But here at Palmgrass, we would be celebrating the Visayan mythical creatures. We would be discussing the Visayan mythical creatures, folklore and oral tradition. And there would also, this is a yearly actually event at Palmgrass, a cosplay contest of the Visayan mythical creatures. So this would be another event to watch out for, another contest to watch out for. O karon, dili na gyud mapugngan. We already have here with us our reactor, our third and final reactor. He is as a writer for all seasons. He is a writer on Cebu heritage. He is a member of an active member of this heritage group, Hambin, Hamiling Binilin. He had a certificate on Cebu cultural heritage at the University of San Carlos. He is a soon-to-be author of a heritage book on Parian district and of Cebu sa panahon ni Mampor. Cebu in the time of Mampor. And so please help me welcome Gavin Sanson Bagares. And he is a proud descendant. He is proud of his ancestor, Akatipunero, Sanson. And then he is also a proud descendant of of an oppressor during Spanish times. So he is a hybrid. We have our hybrid descendant of both colonizer and Katipunero warrior, Gavin Sanson Bagares.
So ako lang sublion no nga ang akong ancestor nga collateral ancestor Pedro was involved in the revolution. And then he hid Bohol. That's the last we heard of him.
Can we fix the audio?
Yes. Okay, Sir Dan. Okay, it is better, no? Yeah. And also, the Rama brothers, Elpidio and Anastasio, were Sansons. So katong usa was naianting-anting. So I'm very proud that Palmgrass really highlighted these people, especially the Rama katong naghimog anting-anting sa panahon sa kagubot. So thank you very much.
So Gavin, we would like to ask you regarding your thoughts, your reaction regarding our topic, regarding the elderly in the Visayas or in pre-colonial times until today.
Murag isubli na lang nako no ang nabatbat ganiha. Ang ato manggong mga tiguang yun sa unang panahon, taas kay respeto ang mga tao. They really respected the elderly before. And then, in fact, during the Spanish period, the age of majority was 25 years old. Karon 18 naman siguro. Sa una, dugay kayo kang mature, 25 years old. Imong ginikanan magbuot pagyud kanus aka kaslon. Although before, at age of 14 or 16, makaminyo na. Pero with the supervision of the parents. So 25, naapa ka sa poder sa imong ginikanan. So ang ang respeto sa mga katiguangan taas-taas pag yun kaayo kay di pa kakalihok. You cannot move on your own until you are age of 25, which was the age of majority. And then in the Spanish period also, have died in old age, they will put there in the record the reason of death is in 𝐊𝐤𝐧𝐬𝐚𝐲, no? In 𝐊𝐤𝐵𝐻𝑆, which means in the old age. Usually 60, tiguang na ka sa una. But there are age requirements sa mga opisina. You have to be age 40 to hold an office of importance. We have to verify that. But muna akong nasabtan nga usually ang mga gobernadorcillo, kapitan, na nagyud na sa 40 tahon nga edad. So the older you are, the more respect is given. Unya nakalimtan na nato karon nga kana mga mga termino sa karaan nga tahod, no? Kana mga insi, ingko, karon ato lola naman na manang la ana, pero sa una daghan kay sila termino ana na ay manding, kana sa manding talahuron ka ay na sa manding, taas kay respeto. So na mga taga Mandawi hantud karon mo gamit paghapog manding, og naapay mga si katong karya gali, manding karya mo to siya, taas kay respeto ang mga tao niya. She was an author, I think involved in Cebuano literature sa unang panahon. O kanang mga ingko, mga ingkopidong pananglitan sa Mandawi no ato lang hisgutan, tag-as kayo na silag mga ranggo. Unya kung bata pagali ka, muna lang ng atong gamitog inday, dudong, titing. So there is really an age differentiation sa unang panahon. Karon, moingon na malang yung tag ma'am, sir, bisag bata pa ato ng tawag ma'am kay egalitarian society naman. Patas naman tang tanan. Pero sa una, ang pangidaron, girespeto gyud na ang pangidaron. Unya, murag nagduda ko, subject to further research, kining mga gitawag og manding, mga uray, mga tahod sa mga karaang babay, naanin siya'y mga equivalency sa ilang posisyon or ilang katungdanan diha sa ilang katilingban, sa ilang society. So the higher you are, the more you are given a tahod, no? A title, an honorific. So age was really very important before. Now, ambot lang, murag mas, as I said, egalitarian na ang society. So there is less respect siguro, no? We have not made a qualitative study, but there appears to be less respect sa mga katigwangan. So in fact, ikataunon naman gali na, no? Katong kanta gali nga tiguang something?
Ang tigulang.
Ang tigulang, di ba?
Bisag bako.
Oh, bisag ana, no?
Maningkamot mo barog.
Correct. Ikaw mo nakamemorya de.
They actually when we had our anniversary of Palmgrass anniversary and Battle of 3 de Abril, one of our performers of the song the performer of the song O Pilipinas, Aggressive Audio, sang that song. Ang Tigulang. And I saw the young people, they all knew that song. They were singing to that song. They were jumping up and down singing that song. They like Ang Tigulang, bisag
bako na ba to?
Bako mo barog.
O dili na
Maningkamot.
magbako-bako
Maningkamot mo barog. Sidney, one of the performers, was actually in the audience a while ago. So sige, Gavin.
Nahugog katawan, but at the same time, as you said,
so no, kadang you turned it off. Don't hold it.
kinlagi kana.
Please bear
Okay,
with us,
lanog na
everyone.
gyud, lanog na. So, nakarelate ang mga batanon na muni tiguwang, muni siya ang tiguwang, murag nakataunon, pero at the same time, mauna nga makarecognize gihapon ang kabatanunan nga moabot ang panahon kung dili sila kwaon ni COVID, simbako, moabot gyud sila anang panahon na nga mabako na anay mga kunang mga kunot-kunot, mga sakit-sakit, ana na gyud na part na siya sa atong aging karon sa atong society. So ang ako lang gyud unta nga kining mga tahod gali nga mga manoy, manong, kining mga karon manggod na naman tay inshik nga terms na sagol na ate, kuya, angko, pero katong atong mga karaan gyud nga mga termino kanang lola sa una murag uyong ug uyang mana. Pero karon lola na gyud ta og lolo. Wa na taan ng uyang, uyong, wala na taana. So murag sentimental na lang kay wa naman gyud na nagamit gawa sa ubang mga pamilya siguro nga nagsubay pa ana muna nga nindot unta kung atong mabalik-balik. O kana galing aminan ka when they bless your hand. We tried to revive that in Parian through Val San Diego. Nga mga batan-on mo amin. Pero karon dili man maayong mo amin kay tungod aning COVID. Di man gali maayong magpaduol. So pero kato natuman-tuman na gyud to nato didto sa Parian nga moamin gyud ang mga batan-on sa mga maguwang nila, not necessarily tiguwang gyud kaayo.
So Gavin, do you know what is the history of that tradition of that custom regarding
kanang mura lagig mano po, no? Kanang bless na magud ato or amin.
Muamin
Amin man gyud ta sa Cebuano, no? Wa ko ka research karon nakuratan ko sa pangutana mangkuanta magsukit-sukit ta ana ato nang tun-an.
It should be traced. When did that custom start?
Pero sa panahon sa Kachila na sila gitawag og besa mano, which is to kiss the hand, no?
Yes.
So siguro gihagkan gyud to ang kamot, no? Mukwaon gyud nimo ang kamot ni imong hagkan. Unya ang uban sad mura lag kana galing beso-beso karon nga di gyud ka muhawak mo ana-ana lang ka. Basig ka to muana lang sa kamot nya dili gyud hagkan.
Yes.
So ato nang tun-an. Speculative pa ning ato karon ay sa mugtuot tanan.
And people are also speaking it does not understand Bisaya, some of our audience.
Okay.
Pero okay ra.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought we had a totally an
Visayan.
English, what's the Visayan speaking audience.
Okay, it's
So
okay.
So I would repeat.
But we could understand you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gavin, for your reaction. Thank you very much
Any more
for coming.
questions from the audience?
Do you have questions, audience? Do you have questions for our reactor who is an author of In the Time Cebu, in the Time of Mampor?
Yeah, Cebu sa panahon ni Mampor.
Cebu sa panahon ni Mampor. Do you have a question? So wala na. Thank you very much,
Thank you
Gavin,
so
for
much.
your
Thank
insights and for sharing with us your knowledge about our customs and tradition and your insights on the elderly.
So I challenge lang all the young people who are really interested in history na instead of just posting repost of other people, ani mga groups, no? Mo research sila ani mga termino nga murag hapit na gyud siguro mawa sa atong taliwa, no? Nga mawa na ni mga these terms will be lost forever. Like uray, ingko, insi, manding, uyang, uyong, the terms of respect that we give to elderly people. We need to research on that so it won't be totally lost.
Daghang salamat.
Thank you so much. Palm grass.
Daghang salamat, Gavin. So Gavin knows palm grass much. He is always here. And so we have questions from the audience. There is a question from Sherry, our winner, regarding the launching of Alima event. Yes, we would be launching our Alima native massage next month. No specific date yet. It's the middle of October. And also October is also the museums and galleries month. And of course, it's a different event from the mythical creatures, folklore, and oral tradition. So it's a different event, Sherry. So we would like to ask our panelists, Roxanne Doron and Dr. Joy Gerra, to be with us once again. So we have Dr. Joy And there is a question for you. I guess you have discussed this, Dr. Joy, but then may you reiterate, or may you discuss again? Sherry is asking regarding the Babaylan and the Dato. How did they work together?
Um, well, the dato is there as the paramount chief, if you will, no? So he heads the community. Um, on the one hand, the Babaylan, I think the whole world of pre-Hispanic Philippines, or for example Cebu, was it's not only the physical world that's very important, but it's the spiritual world and the spirit realm, no? And in fact, and you have to put order into these two worlds. So that is the job. That is really the task of the Babaylan to see to it that she takes care of that. No? So everyone who has sickness, it's the Babaylan who, this is not just one person, because there will be a group of Babaylan, no, in the community. So therefore, if the Datu needs, before they go on a journey, for example, to do mangayaw, no, hunting, there's really a ritual. So every aspect of life is actually highly regulated with a ritual. So this is one way is looking at the life is very important, and there's reverence. And so any activity that's being done, it's always participated by the community as well as the chief and the dato. So this is not, you have to veer away from the today's notion of church and state competing with each other, or the separation of church and state, because then they work together. Why? Because it's very important that the society will perpetuate itself and function. So therefore, to make sure that we appease our ancestors, or that we appease all the spirits around us, the trees, the trees, the rivers, the mountains. This has to be, this is the task of the Babaylan. So, if you will, there is division of labor, and but they work closely with each other. That's the well, I would have wanted to expound it more, no, but with time constraints, maybe in the future there could be another forum, with other experts who really will discuss on this. But for now, but you can send your email. I can send your comment, and then I can reply to it. And if I may plug, the 500 years of 500 years now of Christianity in the Philippines and in Cebu. There's actually a film that we did, no, episodes 1 and 2 together for the Archdiocese of Cebu. Maybe you should catch it. Episode 1 looks into the Christianity before, faith of the Cebuanos before the arrival of the Spaniards, and then when the Spaniards came. Maybe that will give you a better idea.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Joy, for answering that question from our audience. And also, right now, we would like to. There are no more questions, I think. So, wala na yung question. So, we would now like to ask Roxanne for his closing statement as we close this program, this event right now. What would be your last statement in our event, Karon?
Any
Sige.
hello. Any discussion related to understanding, no, the situation of the elderly in our localities is always welcome, because all of us mabot man kita ang punto sa atong kinabuhi, no, and we should remember nga ang mga elderly, sila tong mga labor force prior nato, no. They're working for society, right? They wala na nasa nagtrabaho sa society, nag-transmit po na sila information. Sila mo'y tigbasa, no? Ug mga importanteng mga impormasyon, mga history, mga naandan sa katilingban. Inanas la ka importante gyud, no? That's why this topic, no, nakalimot ko propose ang nindot taan no title, Kinsay Gore, Tiwala pag mo angkon.
Kinsay gore.
Why mo
Kinsay
angkon?
gore. So right now, the term for Tigulang is gore. The
Gore.
millennial term for
Yeah.
Tigulang is
Gore.
gore. So before we get the final, the closing statement of Dr. Joy, we have a reaction also from our audience, our Suki in our heritage events, Raul, and who also won the Manggahi Ka sa Kalami. May we show Raul? Is his audio okay? Turn on your mic.
Oh, sure.
Ay, wala day ma-turn on
Yeah,
sa team. Sige.
good afternoon, Miss A and the rest of the organizers and the reactors. I would like to share about the modern situation about the elderly since nakasaksi gyud ko nga naay mga other terms like daddy low and mamila. Imura siya saksak sinagul kay paminaon ba? Sagol lang daddy, lolo and mommy and lola kay. And it's not only that, nasa mamita, mamitita. Which is tinuod ba ka nang bisag dili grandparents ba, bisag grand uncles and grand aunts na inana man gyud na ang modern situation kang panahon na. However, times are changing man good, but nevertheless, we still have respect we still have great respect for the seniors. Regardless lang gyud kung regardless if it is tradition or modernity, kay as what Sir Gavin said earlier, ibalik gyud ang respeto gyud. Kay our grandparents and parents went through a lot. Maskin ako kay my parents are I was born into two worlds. My mom's parents are disciplinarian and my parents were dili lang said na ingon no. My parents of my dad disciplinary not necessarily disciplinarian but also mga wa may libog ba. However, well, times have changed in terms of the elderly and it's best nga despite being egalitarian in the modern times, we can still keep and cherish our elders and even the elderly, mga senior citizens. Kay in the first place, kay they were the ones who in the priority man gyud sila every time mo nakya sila or they're having a hard time, like for example, mo sakay sila mga public transpo, we can reserve a seat for them, di ba? Which is much better, convenient for on their part ba? That's one example. Well, mara to ang akong reaction and thank you, Miss A. Sorry if I keep you guys bored.
No, we are actually not bored. We're so happy of your reaction and your insights regarding how to care for our elderly and our senior citizens.
Yeah, my apologies. Albeit a bit confusing. I sometimes stuttered.
Thank you very much, Raul. So Raul is also a socio-anthropology graduate. History graduate of the University of San Carlos, and he is also an advocate of Cebu heritage and history. So now we would like to have our final statement from our panelist, Dr. Joy Gerra.
Well, thank you, for everyone who stayed and listened. We know that we're just scratching the surface of the discussion, but I hope that you would, for a forum like this would lead you to read more, buy the books that you would have that Palmgrass is getting, because it really helps you understand better and give more clarity to what we are discussing here and a better appreciation. No? So thank you, Palmgrass, for doing this, and I hope that there will be more fora on topics like maybe discovering the different terms, maybe from the different regions. I know that dictionary was only from the Visayan English, sphere, but maybe for those who are in Luzon, what could be the similarities that we have in terms of titles that we assign to our elderly and other members of the family. So, thank you very much, for having this opportunity. And we know we have only discussed it on the surface. So you really have to. I think everyone should look into it more than taking this what we put in at face value, except for the factual information. But there's a lot of things that we need to understand.
Daghang salamat, Dr. Joy. Daghang salamat, Roxanne, for being our panelist in our fun and wide and deep discussion about our elderly. Kinsay Tigulang, the elderly in the Visayan society and family 500 years ago. Daghang salamat to our audience, to our reactors. Congratulations to the winners of our trivia quiz, and also to the winners of the 𝐊𝐿𝐷𝐿𝐷𝐿 photo contest. We are so happy that you joined us today in our celebration of our love and of our love for our beloved grandparents and elderly. Daghang salamat and thank you to our partners, the National Historical Commission in the Philippines, the National 𝐭𝐢𝐠𝐮𝐥𝐚𝐳 𝐶𝑠 2020, Diyandi Heritage Center, the Cebu Provincial Museum or Museo Sugbo. Be with us again in our next events. Daghang salamat ug maayong hapon.